Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Eileen. I am the president and founder of the Junior Economic Club in New York City. It is so exciting to see all of these faces and all of you here to learn about organization. So today is just going to start with a quick presentation about who we are, what we do, things of that nature, and then there will be time at the end for a Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can leave them for the end and we'll answer everything. Yeah, just to get started. Next slide. Just basically, who are we? We are an entirely student-led nonprofit organization that believes that given the right guidance and support, high school students are capable of addressing the issues currently facing our society. The JEC itself started about 5-6 years ago in Chicago, and we currently have 13 branches around the world, some of my favorite being this one in Toronto, Dubai, Berlin, etc. So it's been a really fun experience meeting all those people, but the JEC in New York City started in May 2020, kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, and has since grown considerably. So let's start by I know it's kind of weird, especially in this virtual period. So I just want to show some faces and see actually who we are behind the scenes of everything we're putting out. So hi, once again, I'm Eileen. I am a current senior at the Brearley School, and I'm the founder and president of the JEC NYC. Next up, we have Mahmoud. He is our vice president. He is a senior at Aviation High School in Queens. Next, we have Joelle. Joelle is our chief marketing officer. He's a senior at Townsend Harris High School. Next, we have Maya, who is a senior at Stuyvesant, and she's our chief financial officer. She's mostly working on the sponsorships and partnerships for the JEC NYC, so we can hold events, have food at our events, etc., and other sorts of professional connections like that. Then we have Shrey. He is our Chief Development Officer. He is in charge of everything internal, doing member management. You'll often see him on the Discord, things like that, sending y'all emails, typically through the NYC board account. That is Shrey responding to you.
My name is Arjun. I'm a junior at Collegiate. I'm the director of technology. So I'm basically in charge of making sure that our website runs smoothly, that we're able to set out alerts about events and run events smoothly. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Amelia Seth, and I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives here at JEC.
Amelia is our Director of Community Initiatives. She is a senior at LF&Y, and she works on some of our, as the title suggests, community initiatives that we'll talk about later that you can get involved in. Emina is our Assistant Marketing Officer. She's a junior at the Baruch High School, and she assists Joelle with all the social media, marketing, etc. Probably the reason why you heard of our organization and are here today.
Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm a junior at the Spence School, and I'm the Assistant Financial Officer, so I do a lot with finding sponsorships and partnerships and also writing the parent newsletter.
We also have Chelsea. She is our Assistant Development Officer. She's a sophomore at the Poly Prep School, and she assists Shrey with all of the back-end stuff, making sure we run smoothly. And last but not least, we have Mia, who is also senior at LF&Y. She's the Chief Marketing Officer of the Junior Economist, which is our newspaper, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the JEC has since grown to a lot of kind of other exciting initiatives. And with that come more space for leadership. So we're constantly taking on new people to kind of spearhead our different initiatives. So the Junior Economist was one of those. Yeah, so our basic structure, I think of it kind of as just 3 pillars. The first being economic forums and webinars, the second being our junior economist, and the third being community initiatives. And of course, since our founding, we have taken on a lot of other things, which I'll also go into, but generally these are the 3 main pillars of what we do. So starting with the first one, economic forums and webinars. So the main events of the JEC NYC are 3 to 4 large forums per year. This would be one a season. So we have our fall forum, winter forum, spring forum, and summer forum. And forums are the required events for all members. Typically, we'll invite a bunch of speakers, professionals, or professors, and there's like 3 to 4 of them, and that with some workshops or other fun events. The forums are our longest events, typically like anywhere from 2 to 4 hours in length. They're also typically either on a Friday night or on the weekend, and these are technically mandatory for all members, and they only happen once every season. So coming up would be a fall forum, and some of you may have seen on our social media, we had a international kind of spring forum earlier. It was spring, summer, and around like May, June. On top of that, we also have much more frequent webinars. So these are with like either one professional, or it's a workshop, or maybe a panel of professionals, but it's definitely a much smaller event. These are not mandatory for members, but we do encourage all members to attend as many as they want. The reason why they're not mandatory is a lot of the times these can become more specific. Generally forums, we try to bring people who can really be mentors on a more broad basis, but with webinars, we can really get into some really exciting nitty-gritty details. So some examples here of events we had in the past. Jeffrey Hollander is on our board of advisors. He is the founder of Seventh Generation, which you may have seen in grocery stores. It's more of a like eco-friendly product brand, and he talked to us about being responsible in business. We also had last year an interview with Mark Cuban, who you may have seen on Shark Tank. And we talked to him about financial literacy as teenagers, since he has kids himself, and about his advice for us. And then on the right here, Shira Friedman, the Chief Accounting Officer at Goldman Sachs, she spoke to us at our summer forum last summer. And she was there along with a panel of other really distinguished women on Wall Street to talk about their experiences, not only as women, but also just their journeys throughout in Wall Street. These webinars, a few of them are posted on YouTube. Once you are a member, we have recorded a majority of these webinars. Some we cannot record because the speakers just don't feel comfortable. But once you are a member, we have a page that Arjun takes care of that has, it's a password protected page that has all of our past webinars on there. So if you ever miss a webinar, you can always go back and rewatch it. And you can also look at our past ones, but we do have a YouTube page if you search up Junior Economic Club in New York City, if you want to kind of sample our events and see what they're all about. If you go to the next slide, one of the most exciting things that have finally been able to happen very recently is in-person events, right? So we started in May of 2020. The pandemic was already strong. We had switched to a virtual format, and we had seen our fellow branches like Chicago and Toronto do exciting events in person before. So finally, this past August, we were able to hold an in-person event with Irina Chang. You can see here sitting down. She talked to us about risk management. She works in wealth management at Morgan Stanley. It was really exciting. It was everyone was masked. We kind of are pretty strict about COVID protocols, which is why we only had that many people there in person. But currently, the plan is for all of our in-person events to also have a live stream on Zoom. So we did have many people joining in through Zoom, and they could interact virtually, and some people coming in to our location. Here was, I believe, 48 Wall Street was this location for this event. But Amelia and our finance team worked to create and find spaces for these events and have these in person. So this is something more exciting and new we're testing out. And of course, it'll depend on how the pandemic goes, but we were able to have our first in-person event, and we have a few coming up as well that I can talk about later. Yeah.
So the Junior Economist is our student-led newspaper that publishes works written by JEC members for everyone to read. The paper allows the club to extend its mission of facilitating meaningful discussion about economic issues by analyzing topics ranging from education all the way to youth unemployment and everything in between. Actually, I think that article is mine, the effect of Medicare on small businesses. You get a lot of flexibility on what you want to write about. as long as it pertains to business in some type of way. As you see, I wrote about like healthcare because that was something that I thought was interesting because I did a debate case on it. So really you can take information from any facet of your life and kind of write. And on that note, we also have a newsletter, a junior economist newsletter where you guys will get updated on all the amazing pieces that our writers do. To if you would like to write, anyone who's a member of JEC can write, and we even have a writer summit coming up with Maya Denier, our wonderful CFO, who will kind of talk about all of that. And then we also have an international publication where editors will select a couple articles, I believe it's like 1 or 2 articles a month, to be sent over to the international publication where it'll be published for all of the branches. It's a publication consisting of all of the branches, which you can kind of read and enjoy at your own leisure.
Yeah, so I just put in the chat actually the link to the Junior Economist, which is the international one. So you'll see articles there from people across the country and I believe across the world as well. I think Toronto is a big contributor to that. And that's mainly in collaboration with JEC Chicago, our initial branch. But New York definitely has a lot of representation on our international field. In addition, I just want to also mention with the Junior Economist, if you're just like interested in writing about economics and you don't know where to start, we have a pretty good support system here to introduce you to how to write about this sort of things. We don't expect you to be perfect and know exactly what you're writing about. We have editors, we have a support system there. If you have an idea, you can send it to them and they can help you workshop how you want to write it and how to go about doing it in the best way. So definitely if you're at all interested in writing, at all interested in anything tangentially related to business and economics, it does not have to be specifically an economics topic. It's really the Junior Economists are there for you to explore, practice your writing, and have a place to be able to publish it and send it to an audience worldwide. In addition, we actually also have a Junior Economist podcast. So this is actually a member-led initiative. There was a member who was excited, loved the Junior Economist, but wanted to do it in a format that was more accessible to students, right? If you're on the subway or in transportation and just want to listen to something and learn while you're at it. So our Junior Economist podcast has since, after a member proposed it and spearheaded the initiative, grown, and we've really helped her with leadership, helped her with finding people, and we're here as a support system for any initiatives that you're excited about and would love to see with the JEC. We're always open to ideas, so that's just one example. Yeah, so on to finally the third pillar of who we are is the community initiatives aspect. We believe that serving and guiding the community are essential to leadership. So we have a variety of programs that help the community, big and small. The main initiative is High Returns, which empowers children through age-appropriate financial literacy lessons. So essentially, members volunteer to go into local underserved middle and lower schools to teach financial education to the people there. I believe we've taught 80 students so far, and if you're interested in teaching and learning about this stuff and becoming part of it, we also prepare our members beforehand, so don't worry about your own kind of financial education. We will prepare all of our member volunteers beforehand, before going in, of course, virtually, to teach children and interact with the community. We really felt that there just wasn't enough in the curriculum about financial education, which I'm guessing a lot of you have probably felt as well, which is why you are here. So we wanted to start this at an earlier age, starting from lower and middle school. That is our High Returns program. Yeah, so actually before we get into member requirements, there are a few other initiatives that have since come about, mostly also not entirely from members, but just some really exciting initiatives that have come about more recently that I want to share with you. First is our ambassador program. We currently have 7 ambassadors. Our ambassadors work to not only are they kind of the classic like ambassador to your school, they advertise the JEC, etc. But ambassadors also have the opportunity to create their own initiatives and learn about kind of being in the leadership of the JEC as kind of a precursor to actually becoming part of the board. So our 7 ambassadors each throughout the year will be creating some sort of initiative, whether that be an event of their own, which is open to the community, or whether that be a different program. And the JEC board is here as a resource to all of our ambassadors who want to either create their own initiative, gain that leadership experience and then experience before kind of going onto the board. So we currently have 7. That's also a program that once you are a member, you can go into after you're accepted. In addition, one of actually our ambassador suggested programs is a mentorship program that has started more recently. Shrey, if you want to discuss that.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just briefly touch on what it is. The mentorship program connects some of our older members with our younger members so that our younger members have sort of a person to go to for guidance. So say a younger member has a question about what classes they should take, whether the SAT or ACT is right for them, and just like any questions in general about life, they can go to their older members. And this is a great way to meet new members and just to make new friends.
Yeah, so that's something really exciting and also something our ambassadors are really a part of right now. It is still in its beginning stages. So if you are a member and want to, or if you want to apply and after if you get in, become part of the mentorship program, it's also on a rolling basis. So whether you are an underclassman looking for a mentor or an upperclassman who's looking to mentor, that is something you can definitely become part of. And the last thing I want to touch on before we get to member requirements are some of our internships. So this past summer, the JEC partnered with the Henry George School of Social Sciences to provide 5 exclusive internship opportunities to JEC members. So along with being part of our community and having access to our events and being able to interact with all of the other initiatives that we have, the JEC and especially Amelia and Maya work hard to create those partnerships and find exclusive internship opportunities for our members. We know that you're here because you want real experience, and we do our best to be able to connect you with those people, not only through events where you get to find mentors and professionals, but to actually be doing work. So this summer, they are 5 interns from the JEC. Our members work with the Henry George School of Social Sciences to do research. They gain skills in communication, data analysis, research, writing, etc. So that was really exciting to see our interns doing that with the Henry George School. Okay, so finally on to member requirements. As I mentioned earlier, members are required to attend all forums. So those are our quarterly forums. If of course there is something urgent, a family emergency, or you're going to be away for a weekend, you really can't, we understand and you can let us know. If you let us know like in advance, we can work around that and work around your schedule. But generally, we will let you know of forums well in advance so you can plan that in your schedule and attend. These are not only our largest event, they're also the most exciting to be in because you get to meet all of our members, meet more professionals than you would at a typical webinar or smaller in-person event. We also require members to be engaged with us through our other events. So 2 to 3 webinars each season around. This is just so you can get the most out of your JEC experience. And of course, we will work with you if anything happens, if there's an emergency in your life or anything like that. But these are just some guidelines as to how we think it's best for, or how people can get the most out of our organization. So it's not really seen as something like, oh, it's a requirement, you have to do this. It's more of just a suggestion for how best to interact with our community. Also to be engaged otherwise. I mean, even throughout the pandemic, we learned about ways to be engaged, whether that be through reading our emails, checking out articles. We have a member Discord where members can talk to each other, ask for help, etc. Just trying to create a community virtually. So being engaged in those virtual formats currently is especially more important when we don't have as many opportunities to meet you guys in person. And lastly, serving as a representative for your school. The fact they're even here means that you're probably well on your way and well acquainted with and excited about finding peers and coming into a community that's excited about economics and business, etc. So you probably also know people at your school who would benefit from something like us and who would really make our community a better place. So as a member, you're serving as a representative for your school, for the JEC. So yeah, those are all the requirements. So before we take questions, I just want to get into some of the upcoming events we have. This event is on September 29th, so it's actually in 2 days. It's with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York City, which is really exciting. And it is a virtual event, so 5 to 6 on Wednesday. And although you guys aren't members yet, if you do want to try out an event before you kind of commit and write member application, etc., since you have attended our event and we do know you, generally for open houses, we allow you to kind of register and come to our events just like 1 or 2 before you kind of choose. So if you want to register on our website right now and attend, you're more than welcome to. But this is only open for generally members and then also some interested members right before some priority deadlines. The next event we have is, Amelia, you can talk more about this.
Yeah, so we have a fireside chat coming up with the Dean of Columbia Business School, Professor Kostas Maglaris. He has served as a professor for many years before becoming the dean in 2019. And another great reason for you to join JEC, you'll get insights on like the application process, kind of like what business school really entails, and anything else like tips you need to get started now. So yeah, it's gonna be a really exciting event, and it'll be in a style of there'll be organized questions, and there'll be a Q&A at the end where you can ask your own questions and connect with the dean. So yeah.
Yeah, and for the, which one, Diana? Could you go back a slide, Arjun, just in case? I'll also put it in the chat. So this on September 29th, from 5 to 6 p.m., we have the Federal Reserve, and then October 9th, we have the other event. If you could go to the next slide. October 9th from 1 to 2 p.m., we have the event with. So the Federal Reserve event is our priority deadline. We can, I'll kind of reiterate this later, but our priority deadline for applications is Saturday, October 2nd at 11:59 p.m. So it's this upcoming Saturday, and our admissions are rolling, but generally after open houses, we have a priority deadline just so we can kind of have a deadline where you'll know that it'll be looked at like close to the deadline and you'll have your answer soon. Of course, it's rolling admissions, but people get busy, and I know Shrey has a lot of work on his plate in terms of managing members, etc. And we also like to kind of welcome our members, welcome our new members, and it's easier to do that when they kind of come in one go. So our priority deadline is this Saturday, October 2nd, and that also gives you time after the Federal Reserve event if you would like to join us and check out one of our events this Wednesday. You can. So just also pop that in the chat. Yes. It's the end of the day on Saturday, and you can apply to be a member on our website. So another event I just wanted to touch on, which is very exciting, I mentioned that we do have some in-person events coming up. So this is an event, our next in-person event is going to be on October 18th. And it's actually an event with the representative for UChicago admissions for New York City. So Liz Schultz. she is the person in the UChicago admissions office who is reading applications from New York City, which honestly is slightly scary to think about, but also really exciting to be able to match a face to the people who's going to end up reading your application. Definitely for any seniors or juniors in this call, it's something that's on the top of our minds. So we're really excited to be offering this opportunity, especially in a time of virtual and pandemic when you can't really meet people, to be able to interact with Liz in person. So this is on October 10th. We have a location in Manhattan. It's in the afternoon, it's after school. I believe it's a Monday, and you can interact with her. She's going to be talking about UChicago admissions, UChicago in general, admissions in general, and also be able to answer any of your questions. And this is going to be a hybrid event that's both in person and virtual for anyone who can't make it in person. If you're worried about COVID and don't want to put yourself at risk, you can definitely join virtually. And for in-person hybrid events, these are definitely restricted to only members. So if you apply by the priority deadline this Saturday, you'll definitely have your admissions decision by the time to be able to attend the event if you are accepted. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so now it is time for Q&A. Arjun, I don't think we need to present anymore, just so we can kind of see some members. Yeah, so if you have a question, feel free to either raise your hand in the Zoom feature or type it in the chat. I can see either. If you don't want to send it out to everyone, you can also send it to me personally. So yeah, feel free to ask away. Is the member application a guarantee? No, so we do, so for the member applications, it is not guaranteed if you apply that you will be admitted. That is why we do have priority application deadlines. So we have time to review your applications. We select the people. It is not about how much experience you've had in the past. That's not what we're looking for. The JEC doesn't expect you to have tons of experience in economics, because the point is to have a place where you can interact and learn about economics. All we're looking for is an excitement to come to our events, interact with our professionals, use our resources that we work hard to give to you, and to use them well and take advantage of them. Erin, for the Discord invite, that is unfortunately only for members. So once, if you are admitted into the JEC NYC, we send you information about like the member specific page and the Discord invite and things like that. So can we gain volunteer credits or club credits from this program? So I think that depends on your school and the way that they do it. We are, especially for the High Returns program, which is our volunteer community initiatives program, we are more than happy to sign off on volunteering hours, etc. It really depends on, I know it's different school to school. Like for example, my school needs just someone to sign off on our credits and on hours, and that works for my school, but it depends person to person. If you have a specific school or a specific system that y'all do, feel free to email us and we can kind of check and see at NYC board at junioreconomicclub.org, something that's right. It's on our website, our board email. So we can check for you, but definitely as many members as possible. We have given members volunteer credits and hours in the past. And yes, definitely. The question was, can we join if not necessarily planning on having a career in economics, but just having it under our tool belt? I personally believe that the JEC is more about just economics. To be frank, the name was inherited from JEC Chicago, and when they started the organization about 5 years ago, their focus was on economics, business, entrepreneurship, etc. But we have since expanded, as you've seen through our many initiatives that I've mentioned today, and just generally through the events that we have, into more just preparing high school students with the ability to interact with professionals interact with the real world, etc. Our webinars aren't only focused on economics, and if you're just excited and interested in economics itself, feel free to apply and come. I have learned so many things here that are not just economics, and those are things that'll take me into whatever field I plan on going to. It is not expected, especially as high schoolers, to know exactly what you want to do. So if economics at all interests you, business interests you, entrepreneurship interests you, or if you look on to our past events page, we have a variety of other different types of events and speakers. If you're just interested in talking to adults and learning from them, meeting different professors, etc., the JEC is the place for you. It is not just, although the name suggests economics club, it is definitely more than that. Yes, we have 229 members. Thank you, Shrey, for answering that. Yeah, definitely. So JEC Chicago. So we have the JEC as a whole, the Junior Economic Club, is an international organization, as in we have branches in different cities. So I think we currently have 13 branches. The original JEC started in Chicago 5 to 6 years ago. And since then it has expanded to Toronto, expanded to San Francisco, Nashville, etc. The New York City branch was founded in May 2020. Now, JEC NYC basically functions as its own organization. We retain a lot of autonomy in terms of all the events we put out are all ours and our boards. All the initiatives we put out are all ours and our board. But the great part about having these other branches to interact with is, especially in a virtual environment, we could meet people from other places. So I'm very close with people from the Chicago branch because we work on international events together, right? If it's virtual, anyone from around the world can join. I've met the JEC Berlin heads, and they're super great and amazing, and it's been interesting kind of seeing how their organization and branch functions in the city of Berlin. The main thing tying us all together is just our mission to prepare students in our respective cities and branches for the real world and to make a positive difference in that world. So JEC Chicago is just another branch of the JEC. So if you ever see the name Junior Economic Club, that refers to kind of us as a whole, but mainly as a member, you'll be interacting with just our events, the JEC NYC's events, the JEC NYC's members, etc. Yeah, so in terms of, you're asking who arranges events. So generally for the events that we do, board members manage and put together events, and ambassadors kind of are some of those people who aren't on the board but who do arrange events. But as I said earlier, some of our initiatives and events start from what members want. So if you are a member and you're interested in putting together an event, we would love to hear your pitch, love to hear what you want to say, who you want to meet, etc. And if we think that it fits with what the JEC stands for and we think it's feasible in terms of the time frame you're looking at, etc., we would love to kind of help you put that event together, whether that be using our JEC emails or if we have a contact that may know a person in that field, etc. We are more than happy to hear you out and help you create an event, whether that be more of an initiative type thing. So like we have done competitions in the past, our podcast, or if you want to hold like a webinar or in-person event, just shoot us an email. We're more than happy to listen to any suggestions from our members. Yeah, so for extracurriculars, you can do, right, freshmen probably don't really know what you're doing yet. If you don't have a concrete kind of thing, it's more about kind of what you're interested in, right? So some people may have extracurriculars that carry over from middle to upper school, like a sport, for example, out of school. But if you're just fresh into high school and don't really know exactly what you want to do yet, you can also list a few that you're interested in, things like that. It's not so much about kind of what you did. We're just looking to see kind of who you are as a person, what interests you. We also have that there in the application, so we can kind of sense what our members are interested in seeing in our events, right? So if you're in middle school, if you're a part of some like medical science organization or club, and you're interested in possibly doing something similar in high school, we see a lot of our members doing that. We might want to pull someone from the medical science field and talk about that intersection with business, or kind of bring that in. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so typically with so the priority deadline is actually, Shrey, would you like to talk about this? The priority deadline is Saturday, or this upcoming Saturday, 11:59 p.m. When do you think they'll find out if they get accepted?
So honestly, I'm trying to get to all the applications. If you can submit before the priority deadline, then I will definitely be taking a look at applications this week. So you can expect to be admitted before the priority deadline if you apply before the priority deadline. But after that, I think within the week, you should be accepted so that you can attend the Dean Maglaris event on October 9th.
And generally, when we do have rolling admissions, when it's not a priority deadline, and we can't really guarantee that, it's typically around a 2-week period that we can get back to you. Yes, so if you don't get accepted, you can feel free to kind of interact with us on our other platforms. So as you know, on YouTube, we do release all of our kind of old webinars once the speakers are comfortable with us releasing those, etc. And things like the Junior Economist, stuff like that definitely is open to everyone. The JEC isn't trying to kind of restrict things to our members. We're trying to make a larger impact in terms of student newspapers, etc. And if you don't get accepted, if there's a specific kind of thing that you're interested in attending and you see something on our Instagram, you can always feel free to just message us and ask us. We have this membership so we can make sure the people who are interacting with our professionals are really excited to be there, and they're excited to gain something out of it. If there's an event that you're interested in attending and you don't get accepted, feel free to email us. We're not here to restrict anything. So we're always open to any suggestions or questions in our board email. No, it is a high school long membership. So once you do get accepted, if you do get accepted, you are in for all of high school and beyond. We have our first set of alumni are current freshmen in college, and many of them are still getting all of our emails, getting all of our newsletters, and open to coming to events if they are virtual, or if they stayed in the city, coming in person. So this is really a lifelong commitment. Not that that's a scary thing. I personally think it's a heartening thing, but you know, it is, we are here for you throughout. It is not, you don't have to reapply after a year.
Honestly, just like put effort into your application and you'll be fine. Like don't like just like put effort into the application and kind of just like show that you're like interested in taking advantage of our opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, please don't stress out too much about the applications. I promise I'm not too mean.
And okay, I think we might have taken this for granted. It is not, I did not want to make the JEC seem like a binding commitment and scary thing. If you become busy and can no longer do what's required of you, you can, if you need to leave the JEC, there's nothing kind of strictly binding about it. We're not going to hold a grudge against you. Actually, Arjun, could you possibly put the member requirements page back up?
Yeah, give me a sec.
When I said lifelong commitment, I did not mean that we're holding you in and we're forcing you to do anything, I promise. I can also just read it out. So members are required to come to our forums. Right, as Amelia says, it really varies per person and your interests. So the forums are required, of course. If there's something that really means you can't come, email us and work with us. We're here to speak to you, and we're here as a resource for you. That's what the JEC is all about. And then attending, our guideline is 2 to 3 webinars each season, and that's just if there's something of interest, something you really want to explore. We typically have a wide range of webinars each season. So we'd say typically 2 to 3 or more, minimum 2 to 3, is how many really pique people's interest. And of course, if there is a busy reason why you can't come, we're not going to be holding that against you. This is just guidelines. So yeah, also if it ever becomes too much and you can no longer stay in the program, let us know. We're not going to stop you from leaving.
Yeah, guys, don't stress out too much about the percentages or anything like that. Honestly, just put like effort into your application, and I promise you'll be fine.
Yeah, of course. I just want to reiterate kind of the JEC is here as a resource to high schoolers. The whole reason why we made it and the whole part of our mission was to be able to create these interesting events for high schoolers and be able to let us kind of learn without having to go through college first and wait until later. So in terms of the application, the reason why we have that is just to make sure that the members we do accept are excited about coming to events and excited about meeting people, etc. So it's nothing to stress about. Just show us who you are, and yeah. Do you mean like similar organizations to us? I don't off the top of my head. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, although it's a very different format from us, is just like JEC, which is a business competition through schools. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's more, or one of the main things about the JEC also was to make this not a school club. So it's not like you have to have a JEC club in your school to have this happen, because different schools have different resources, different restrictions on the clubs. So this is something for any high schoolers who's interested. I can't think of any who do something similar. Maybe there's some in realms like other than economics. Okay. Oh, how do in-person events run? So it really depends. So I'll kind of just give the rundown of how our past one went and the upcoming one is going to go. So in terms of in-person events, we typically have similar like a hour, 2-hour time slot in terms of the actual space that we have in the event. So all of our members come on time, please. That's the main thing we stress. Come on time. All get to meet each other. The event we did in the past with Arena Chang, that was more of a like talk Q&A style event. So she came, we all went up to the room, and she started by giving a presentation on wealth management and risk management. And throughout that, because it's in person, it was easier for members to jump in and ask questions. And then at the end, we had a Q&A where they can really delve into things like advice or her journey coming up. I think she was a Columbia undergrad and business school alum. So she was a very big proponent of Columbia, loved to talk about it. So we learned a lot about Columbia through that event as well. So with the in-person events, that's one example. I think with our Chicago event coming up, it'll be something similar, where the members who are in person will come and start by hearing her webinar, and then there's time for Q&A, etc. With in-person events, it's definitely less rigid than the virtual events. With the virtual events, we try to stick to more of a schedule, but in-person events are more organic since you get to be there with them, asking questions, etc. Will we learn about starting or initiating a business, or is this focused mostly on financial education like retirement, etc.? Actually, Erin, I do think, yes, as Amelia says, we have a variety of speakers, but honestly, one of the big things that I've noticed about JEC events is that there is a lot of entrepreneurship, really, a lot of entrepreneurship. Not what you expect, but a lot of the times, especially our speakers are CEOs or founders of companies, so they talk about a variety of things from not only kind of what they do and how they do it and that sort of thing, but also how they created the company, the work that they put into leading the company, etc. So with talking to those professionals, you'll learn a lot about starting and initiating businesses, but we also have a lot of other initiatives in place for specifically entrepreneurship things. So for example, I believe we had an entrepreneurship pitch competition this past spring with Alden Richards, who's a lecturer at Yale and Brown. He is a very frequent speaker with us. We have a great relationship with him. He runs camps over the summer that teach kids about entrepreneurship. So he loves to have events with us talking about how to create a business pitch, things like that. So that's just one example of kind of, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, there's definitely a lot of that here. So in terms of in-person events due to code protocols, that really depends on the space. I believe the upcoming one has a 30-something capacity, and I believe that was also the initial capacity for our in-person event previously, but because of COVID, we had to cut that down to 25, 20, or I'd say. Yeah, I believe it's around 30 for in-person events. There's a possibility, I'm putting that with a caveat saying it's definitely a possibility still of an in-person fall forum. So if it is in person for the forum, which is our mandatory events, that would be around 80 people allowed in person. So that would be in a much larger hall and an inside space, and then everyone else would be joining us virtually. Yes, anyone in NYC can join. The reason also that we put NYC is that typically our events are held in the city, but if you know people who are in kind of the surrounding areas, like really close in New Jersey or really close on Long Island or even a little bit upstate New York, we don't restrict our membership that much. It's more just for the reason why we put New York City kids is so we know that they can take advantage of our opportunities and the travel won't be a hassle. Yeah, thank you so much for all your questions. We know we can't get to everything in the presentation, so definitely it's been good to have questions and address kind of what you guys are interested in. I'm gonna pop, this is our board email. Popping this in the chat. If you have any further questions, feel free to email us there. If you want to put a face to the email, it'll be Shrey who's responding to you. Shrey is taking care of all of our emailing things recently. If you have any further questions about the organization, feel free to email us there and we'll get back to you. Yeah, do we have any last questions? Yeah, what's the next step? Well, there are two potential next steps. The first is we have a webinar on Wednesday if you're excited and want to kind of see what our events can be like before officially joining. We do have that event and that is available to, you can register for it through our website, jecnyc.org. You can also, if you're excited and want to become a member, there's a member application on our website. It's just on the top right-hand corner, it says apply now, pretty big, hard to miss. You can apply there and Shrey will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you're just interested in learning more about us, we have, actually Shrey, if you go, sorry, Arjun, if you can go to the very last slide. Yes. our social media. So you can learn more about our upcoming events and learn about ways to interact with us through our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. What's not here is our YouTube channel that has some of our past events. So feel free to check those out, follow us there, and just interact with us. We'd love to see you guys more after this event. All right, so if there's no more questions, I just want to say thank you so much, all of you. The difference between the two Instagram accounts. The first one is our official Instagram for the JEC New York City. The bottom one is for the Junior Economist, which is our newspaper/podcast. So there we post about new articles, feature writers, etc. So you can check out both of those. Yeah, of course. But thank you so much for all coming here to learn more about the JEC. We're really glad to meet all of you. We hope this was helpful. You're able to put some faces to the organization. I know it's hard, especially virtually, to kind of feel that it's personable. So yeah, please email us if you have any other questions, and we look forward to seeing your application soon. Bye, have a great day, everyone.